I have to start with a very clear and definitive statement today. No one is cheering what is happening in Texas with the floods. One of the things that the MAGA right is now latching onto, because they know they're out of arguments. They know that the cuts to the National Weather Service and all of these different cuts that the Trump administration has put in place, they know that on some level it has made the death toll from the flooding worse, but they cannot admit that. And so instead, they are accusing the left of cheering as the death toll tragically goes up. And I can't imagine a more disgusting way to deflect blame for the guy they voted for doing what he said he would do and it having the obvious, predictable impact that it would have. So let's sort of back up a little. I know I'm shot out of a cannon here. As of this moment, the tragedy is believed to have taken more than 100 lives in Texas. Catastrophic flooding. As of yesterday morning, 69 were confirmed dead, 11 girls and a counselor from Camp Mystic missing. We now are 24 plus hours on from that. And I'm going to be very frank with you. It's not clear that state officials are at all coordinated or forthcoming about the death toll. Time is going to tell. I am stopping short of saying they're straight up lying. I'm sort of leaving some benefit of the doubt and saying it's a chaotic scene in Texas. It may just be that various officials are not coordinated properly on the death toll, and eventually we're going to get the real number, but it is believed to now be over 100. I am concerned that many of these deaths were preventable. I'm horrified that the Trump administration appears to have had a hand in aggravating the circumstances in Texas. The staffing shortages at the National Weather Service's San Angelo and San Antonio offices doubled under the Trump administration. In other words, the number of people they are missing to be at full staffing has doubled since Trump became president. The warning coordination meteorologist in San Antonio left after taking an early retirement package that was offered by the Trump administration. This is part of what DOGE did to reduce the federal workforce. We've seen the National Weather Service lose nearly 600 employees, down from about 4,000 to 3,400. That's huge. There have been hiring freezes, travel restrictions that make it tougher to replace staff, or even just do the coordination that's necessary with the local officials. And the forecasting offices started cutting overnight operations. They reduced balloon launches to collect weather data, which allow more accurate warnings and weather reports. And of course, emergency planning, not a strong suit for any Trump administration. We saw that during the first one. Employees just being left with less time and fewer resources for emergency planning. And so we now are seeing the effect of that. Now, there are some reporters that are bringing this up, and I'm glad to see that they are. Here is a reporter asking Governor Greg Abbott about the vacancies at the Kerr County, related to Kerr County Weather Service. And could that have impacted what happened here? You know, Greg Abbott doesn't really want to hear it.
You talked in what you just said kind of about expertise and about just knowing the area, and that extends also to the National Weather Service folks who are in those offices and have years and years of experience. There are currently 6 vacancies in the local, the National Weather Service office that cover Kerr County. What is your perspective on how that could have impacted the warnings that you all were able to get and how accurate the information you all were able to get?
So I know nothing about the staffing. What I do know is
Doesn't have a clue, folks.
What they put out. And it's my understanding that what they put out was kind of the information that the state was operating off of, and that is that there were alerts or warnings about heavy rain, potential for flash flooding in certain areas. A problem with that is that to most people in the area, flash flooding would mean one thing, not what it turned out to be, because they deal with flash floods all the time.
So Greg Abbott's argument is completely unpredictable. They get these flash flood warnings all the time. They're sort of desensitized, has nothing to do with the staffing whatsoever. As the death toll continued to rise over the weekend, the Kerrville city manager refused to answer questions as to the same topic.
More question.
Yeah, well, one of the questions that still hasn't been answered 3 days into this is despite TEM's warning on July 2nd, July 3rd, that something like this could have happened, that the threat existed, why that information didn't get down to the camps and why they weren't evacuating. Can you answer that now?
That is a great question, but again, we want to make sure that we continue to focus. We still have 11 missing children that we want to get reunited with our families. Until we can get reunited with their families, we are not going to stop. We are not going to stop until we do. So, thank you.
Follow-up question, sir. Was any emergency alert given out on the 4th that morning of? Did anyone get
Sir,
any
there are
alert?
families who deserve better than that.
And off he goes. You know, the theme here is what? The theme is that big, tough, strong, burly, independent, rely on nobody Texas seems completely unable to handle storms, to handle floods, to handle school shootings, to handle immigration, to handle power outages. That's the theme here. Now, MAGA Mike Johnson, Congressman and Speaker of the House, he said he knows what we need in times like these, and it requires you to get down on your knees and pray. That's the idea from MAGA Mike.
And federal resources have just poured into that area. Is there anything more that can be done congressionally, legislatively to help these folks?
In a moment like this, we feel just as helpless as everyone else does. I've talked to my colleagues there in Texas, Chip Roy and August Pfluger, whose families, that's Chip's district. August's daughters were at the camp. We also had Betty Carter of Georgia, had grandchildren there. It touches so many families, and all we know to do at this moment is pray. Every available resource has been deployed. The president, of course, is dialed in and watching this develop moment by moment as we are, and we'll handle supplemental funding requests as they come in. But right now, they're still trying to do rescue and recovery, and our hearts go out to all.
Our hearts go out. We must pray, and everybody's doing everything right if they have an R next to their name. And then finally, the orange man himself, Donald Trump. It's terrible, he says. It's terrible, but we don't know how many died. What? Some young people? Trump as confused as ever.
What do you say about the other day, the floods in Texas? Oh, that's terrible. The floods? It's shocking. They don't know the answer yet as to how many people, but it looks like some young people have died. Will there be any federal aid for them? Oh, yeah, sure. We'll take care of it. We're working with the governor.
We're now working with the governor to help them with an event that was no doubt worse due to me coming in with my ex-buddy Elon Musk and just slashing, offering people early retirement and getting people the hell out. Now, none of this comes as a shock. Here's a report from May 27th. Officials scrambling to fill National Weather Service roles. This did not creep up on us unexpectedly.
Days out from what's forecast to be an above normal hurricane season, scientists across the country are sounding the alarm over critical staffing shortages. Inside the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, officials are scrambling to fill more than 150 critical National Weather Service roles left vacant after sweeping cuts from the Trump administration. Overall, the service has lost 600 of its 4,000 employees since January. 5 former NWS directors calling it their worst nightmare in an open letter earlier this month, predicting understaffing could lead to needless loss of life.
And that is exactly what happened. So listen, many charities and groups are saying that they are helping. I can't possibly vet every single one. So I think a reasonable thing, a central clearinghouse of sorts, if you need help or you are looking to help, 800 Red Cross. That's 800-733-2767. They can direct you if you need help or if you are looking to help. I think that that's as reasonable a place to start as ever. You know, for weeks now, discussions have focused on Trump's big, beautiful bill and its potential Medicaid cuts. However, a far more dangerous, overlooked provision in the bill exists. At ground.news/Pacman, you'll discover what MAGA lawmakers quietly included, a provision that could block federal judges from enforcing court orders unless a bond is posted. And if this passes, it could render Trump above the law. This is a critical detail. It's largely unknown, and it really exemplifies this flood the zone strategy of the Trump administration. Now, this is why ground news is essential. It really is the best way to uncover buried information by showing you not just the story, but its origins across the political spectrum. You can see bias ratings, credibility scores, coverage timelines, and their browser extension also will flag potential bias when you're on a news site, sort of guiding you to more reliable sources for fact checking. Ground News gives you a smarter and more reliable way to stay informed. I'm partnering with them to give you 40% off their unlimited Vantage plan, which makes it just $5 a month. Visit ground.news/Pacman, scan the QR code, or use the code Pacman in the app to start. The link is in the description.